We're starting with like Death Growl, I'm guessing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Alright.
Alright, so Death Growl,
good.
1 mana, 1 unholy rune. Choose a minion, spread its death rattle to adjacent minions.
Yeah, that seems good. And like, I don't know what deck runs it, but there have been cards like this that have been worse that seen play. Right?
Yeah, it's sort of like you get that whole cube death rattle thing.
Yeah.
For 1 mana if you have the setup.
I mean, you can run like just as a bad one, you run the 2 mana 2/2 because that's a neutral that mage gets from their location, and then you just play it on that, and then everything has it. Yeah, you just make your board a volatile skeleton board. You know.
Yeah, I was thinking Foul Egg. You already played Foul Egg. This is really good with that. Nerubian Egg, if you get around to that stage.
Yeah.
And
I mean, this card seems absurd. I think it's the more we talk about it. Yeah. Well, what's our scaling on the spreadsheet this time?
We're doing 1 through 4.
Oh, 1 through 4.
1 is not good. Yep, 1 is not good. 2 is fringe. 3 is good. 4 is great. Did a 1 through 4 system just to avoid any little bitchy constant like, oh, this is a mid card rating.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. I like the 1 4. Okay.
Yeah. So Death Growl here. Another application I'm really looking forward to this is Naval Mine.
Oh yeah.
That turns into 1 mana, deal 8.
Yeah.
And then you also have that other Death Knight mini we're going to see in a bit that can copy death rattles that died. Yeah, I think Death Growl really can kill people. It makes a lot of board or deal a lot of damage, and that's just like the 1
so versatile. Yeah, there's like it's a deck builder's dream. There's so many things you can do with it. Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna have a hard time seeing a world where this card doesn't make its way into a deck.
Yeah, I'm going with 4.
Yeah, I can join you on that 4.
Yeah.
I think it just looks good from every perspective I see it from. Alright, so next up, got Mosh Pit. 2 mana DK location, no runes, 2 charges. Spend 3 corpses to give a friendly minion reborn.
So, this is like, if we get rid of the corpses element, this card looks good enough, but even then, like, doesn't seem that good. Like, it really needs some synergy, but the fact that you can play it, like, it's a way to store mana, so, but you also, like, how do you get these corpses if you're, like, a big deck? So, I don't know, I'm skeptical on this card.
It feels incredibly slow to me.
Yeah.
The question, like, what are the good targets here? I've heard Zilliax. Zilliax is an okay target.
Okay, yeah.
But even still, it can be a little bit difficult for you to leverage the Reborn because you're not getting Reborn on your turn because you're bumping into a Divine Shield.
Yeah. I mean, if you do this on the 4/3 for Frost Knight, what's her name? And you get infinite, like, Frost Worm Furies, that's pretty good. Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's you really doesn't feel good enough without some nice payoff cards that you can get consistently. So my instinct is 2 at best. I feel like this is, yeah. But
what about Infectious Ghoul? Infectious Ghoul with this and the Death Growl. You got to figure out how you get more minions on board. And there are some other stages too. That seems kind of ambitious, doesn't it?
I mean, I'd much rather just run the 1 mana spell. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's hard in that you have to play these low drops to get the corpses, but also these big things. So, and then you have to spend 2 mana playing this instead of minions, and you have no immediate effect, which is most locations have an immediate effect. And then it's not even that good if you don't get it on a good minion, and it's only 2 uses. So most locations are 3 uses.
Yeah, this is a really weird card. I'm sure there's some death rattle out there, like Mass Reveler.
Yeah, I mean,
Masked Reveler is a good target, but then you gotta get the corpses, and you don't want small minions in your deck for Masked Reveler.
Yeah, so it's a hard card to make work. So in theory, it could be powerful when everything works well. But like, how are you going to find a deck where it naturally works well? Are you building around this card? But that's why
you would need to.
Yeah. So I'm going to put a 2. I'm not ready to put a 1, but I think putting 3 or 4 feels, so that's kind of
I think I'm good on a 1.
Okay.
I might eat some shit on that one, but I think I'm good on a 1.
Okay.
Next up, we got Arcanite. No,
Yeah.
best thoughts?
I should say if it like sees Frit like play in a tier 3 meme deck, then I consider that's an accurate too. That's kind of where I'm at. So all right.
Sure, I'll buy that for $1. Next up, we got Arcanite Ripper, 3 mana, 3/2 weapon, 1 blood rune. Death Rattle, summon a 1/1 life-stealing undead. Change your health on your turn while equipped to improve. So it goes to 2/2, 3/3, 4/4, and so on each time you change your health.
Yeah, can I play this on 3 and then go coin Blood Boil on 4 and win the game?
Possibly. Depends how many times you're healing. But naturally, you play this on 3, you smack a minion, and then on turn 4, you smack a minion and break it, and that's a 3/3.
Well,
Because
I live in
you
the
take
value
damage.
world, so I play this. I don't play it for hit with it for 80 turns, and then I hit a 20/20 charge dead lifesteal at your opponent. That's what I'm doing. So,
Oh, yeah. The Blood Boil's nuts with it. This thing
yeah.
has lifesteal, by the way, so the bigger minion, you kind of double dip on how good that buff is.
Yeah.
Vampiric Blood can buff this twice.
Yeah.
Because you change your health 5, then 5.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yep. This really gives Blood Decay a way to get more proactive. Right now, that's something that the deck really misses.
Yeah.
Where you can't really turn a corner. You can sit there and remove and heal, but you do actually have to kill someone at some point.
Yeah.
So you need tools like this that can actually kill somebody.
And weapons and locations for like a blood card like deck like Blood Death Knight can be very valuable in that it's a way to gain tempo without playing minions, so your opponent can't trade off their minions. So then you can get a better board clear, like a more efficient board clear on a future turn. So
sure.
I mean this is such a good card in a Blood Death Knight deck. So I could see. I'm gonna put 4, even though it's probably a 3. It's no way it's a 2, but it's just more fun to say 4. Right?
Yeah, it is more fun to say 4. You're right. I'm still gonna say it's a 3.
Okay.
I'm boring.
All right.
Next up, we got Harmonic Metal. 3 mana, also 1 blood rune. Give 4 random minions in your hand +2/+2, swaps each turn. And when it swaps, that means it will give 2 random minions in your hand +4/+4. As I understand it, this card works like Thaddeus. That's what I've heard. Where whether or not it's in your hand, it is going to swap. I don't have any confirmation on that. That's just what I've heard.
So it doesn't like it's not going to be.
The turn 1 should be 4.
Sometimes you're going to draw it as gain 4, and sometimes you're going to draw it as gain 2. Some kind of thing.
I think. I'm not sure if this works like Witchwood cards or it works like Thaddeus.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it makes too much of a difference in terms of the overall power level of the card.
Yeah.
It might.
I mean, I guess you put it on the 5/6, right? And then it's a 9/10, and it's a huge lifesteal swing. So
sure,
the theory, but these handbuff cards usually suck because it's just like hard to pull off and awkward, and so my instinct is bad. But
so, I think handbuff it parties well with 2 things: cheap minions, so you can unload the stats onto the board after you handbuff them.
Yeah.
And stuff that has, rush, lifesteal, or doubling effects that really likes the buff.
Yeah.
So you can hit a Nerubian Swarm Guard with this.
That's true, actually, yeah.
You can triple that buff.
That's really good, yeah.
There is Twin Fin, if you want to go for that option. Rushing 2/1s that copy itself. There is the Malignant Horror, 4 mana 2/5 Reborn that spends 5 corpses at the end of your turn to copy
that
itself.
would be insane, right? Yeah. So
you got the No Muncher, you got the Ziliax.
This works really naturally in like old lists from like a month ago or a month of a Rainbow Death Knight. Like Rainbow Death Knight already just ran lots of these cards that had payoffs for this. So
I mean, Conditioning was a card that saw play.
Conditioning was the best card in Rush Warrior. So
it was a 2 mana card, but only active on turn 5.
Yeah.
If you play this on turn 3, 4 minions, that's kind of your whole hand.
Okay.
And what I also do like about this card is it offers you redundancy with Blood Boil. So if you want to do a hand buff DK deck, now you have 4 cards that can buff up your hand, rather than just the 2.
Okay.
Gives you some redundancy, activate the synergies more often. That said, hand buff DK, even if that deck is good, I don't know how many people want to play it.
All right, I'm going to give it a 2, so...
Yeah, I think 2 is about right, because this deck can't rise above meme status. No one will play hand buff DK.
Yeah.
It's got potential, though. I like the redundancy. Next up, we got Bone Shredder. 5 mana, 5/4 undead.
Did we skip Death Metal Knight and
Hardcore
Cultist? Yeah, I thought you just said
we must
order.
have.
Yeah.
But...
So.
Oh, all right. For some reason, it didn't show on my screen. Okay, never mind. Let's go back to Death Metal Knight.
Okay.
They weren't there. Death Metal Knight, 3 mana, 3/4 undead taunt, double blood rune. Costs health instead of mana if your hero was healed this turn.
I mean, the theory of it is like, one, it has synergy with some of these other cards that change your life, like the weapon, right? And two, it's 3/4, you know, like especially when it's a one-time. So you the fact you can play it for 0 mana looks really good, right? So
yeah, it does cost you 3 life. It's not like Happy Ghoul that just drops to 0 mana. You have to punch yourself in the head, but with the amount of lifesteal you might have, that might not be a big deal. In fact, with a card we'll see in a bit, it could actually be a positive.
Yeah, I think this is.
So the real question is, where's the home? And hand buff DK maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
hand buff wants to get
it might just be good in a random Renthal Blood Death Knight list. You know, that's just for some tempo and some like you know some random synergy. I guess the healing can be annoying though, so it might yeah.
So it doesn't work with Blood Boil. It doesn't work with No Muncher. It doesn't work with any of the end of turn effects.
Yeah, that's true.
And it doesn't work with the Vampiric Blood.
That's bad. Yeah.
In hand buff, I can maybe see it because you do play a bunch of lifesteal stuff. You can play Murloculus in there because your deck's basically all minions. You can get the Ziliax. You can get the other 5-drop lifesteal card that we'll see soon. I don't think this card is great, but
I just keep talking down. I'm gonna give it a 1 now. I was originally a 2. Sure. I can't see it anymore. So
I'm still on the 2 just because I think it might go in the hand buff deck.
Yeah, I guess any card that has the potential to play for 0, I should probably be considering. But yeah.
Yeah, don't have to consider it too hard. All right. Yeah. Next card after that, we got Hardcore Cultist. 2 mana, 2/1 undead, 1 Frost Rune. Battlecry, deal 2 damage. Finale, it deals 2 to all enemies instead.
It's like a board clear with a body. You know, with the proactive. I mean, it kind of, so they have the consecration for 4 mana. Let's draw a card. Somebody said this is, yeah, it could go in rainbow. That actually kind of makes sense because it's like, so.
I do want to make one point early on because this is going to come up a lot. Finale is not always active. I don't want to treat finale cards as if they are. That this just happens all the time. Sometimes you're going to be on turn 4, and you're going to be looking at this thing in your hand, and you're going to be kind of upset because you can't spend that 1 mana in a way that makes any sense. That's
interesting. Yeah. So, and you can only do 1 per turn. So, like, if you have, all right, you convinced me this is bad. I feel like this is bad now.
Yeah, I'm kind of on a 1. This feels worse than Howling Blast to me.
Yeah, Howling Blast does seem. Yeah, we'll go 1. Okay.
All right. We got Harmonic Metal next. All right, so Bone Shredder. Actually, Bone Shredder this time. 5 mana, 5/4 undead with 1 Unholy Rune. Battlecry, spend 5 corpses to trigger and gain the death rattle of a random friendly minion that died this game. Simple effect, a lot of words.
I feel this is bad, just instinctively. I don't know.
Well, let's say you have just an egg that's died. You have a foul egg that's died. This is a 5/4 that summons a 3/3 and has Death Rattle summon another 3/3 on it, if you get the effect off.
But 5 corpses, like I could just run the 5 mana, like this. I don't know. I think corpses are valuable, and just like there's gonna be spots where like not only there's so much setup that has to go into this card, and when you don't have the setup, it's just garbage. So
in the context of getting corpses. DK did get a nice Corset edition in Tour Guide. Tour Guide is very good for DK. It's like a better body barrier, I think.
But I'd rather use that payoff on, Lord Margarita, for example.
Possibly. So. I've just been eyeing this thing with the Naval Mine idea, where you can Naval Mine, Death Growl it, give 2 things the Death Rattle. Then the Naval Mine dies, that's 12 damage overall, and you play this, and that's another 8 on this card, so you're at 20. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage.
Or I could just get the Naval Mines on all my minions and just kill them off and kill them, like without having to use this card. So,
by the way, if you want to get sneaky, you want to get sneaky with Death Growl, you put a Death Rattle minion next to a Death Rattle minion. Then your first Death Growl will give the Death Rattle minion an additional Death Rattle, and then the second Death Growl would copy 2 Death Rattles to adjacent minions, which is a lot of setup, but I do believe it should stack. Anyway, I do like the Bone Chart. I think it's actually quite powerful.
So our first big disagreement. I'm gonna go with 1. I just can't see this being good. So
I'm gonna go with a 3.
All right.
I think we can actually make a deck. Next up, we got Screaming Banshee. 5 mana, 1 Blood Rune, 3/6 life-stealing undead. After your hero gains health, summon a soul with that much attack and health.
This feels very good. I don't know.
This feels so irritating. I'm trying to trade in this.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, and if you get to like late game mana, you play this.
This in Vampiric Blood is 2 5/5s.
Oh, it's that way. It gains health. It's not heals. Oh, that's like.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I'm not really giving a 4, but I think a 3 feels appropriate here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I also like this in the hand buff deck as well.
Yeah.
Because once this thing hits the board, if this thing is I don't know, you have a +2/+2 with the 5/8. I don't know how you're ever dying or losing the board unless the opponent just hard removes you. So anything board based, this kind of walks over. And again, Blood Decay gets this tool to go proactive again. Yeah. Blood Decay can now actually maybe end games in addition to stalling them, and that's actually huge for them.
Yeah. Yeah. This looks good.
Yeah, I'm kind of on that 3 train as well. Next up, we got Cagehead, last card from DK. 8 mana, legendary. No, not last card from DK, second to last. 8 mana, 2 Unholy Runes, 5/1 undead. Death Rattle summon a 9/9 Blight Boar with charge and taunt.
This seems difficult to use. I don't know.
You got the location.
Oh. So still, I don't know. I guess that's why they get the whole point of the location is you play this and then you play the Cagehead and you get it reborn. But it's not immediate. Yeah. So it's like it seems great until I Najak you. Yeah. So
and you can also use with Death Growl.
Rotating? I can't remember.
Is what rotating?
Reconnaissance?
Yes.
Okay. So the Rogue can't do it. It can't Najak anymore.
But you can. Rogue also isn't going to find this, which is, I suppose, good. But you can also, on turn 9, you can use with Death Growl if you want. You can get that immediate Blight Boar kill people if you have a setup. I think that's supposed to be the idea here.
So I have this giant board, and instead of going the 4 mana Bloodlust, I play this obnoxious guy.
Well, yeah, if you just have 2 minions in play, you drop them in the middle. You give both your other minions 9/9 charge taunt death rattles. That could maybe kill somebody. It is slow and complicated, though. I'm not a believer either.
I'm going with 1, so...
Yeah, I'm kind of on that same train. I was excited at first.
It's a legendary, so you don't have the redundancy. So sometimes if you build your deck around this, like you can't build your deck around this. You have to just like synergize in naturally. So
yeah, which it kind of can, but I'm also not sure I want to have this floating around in my hand for 8 or 9 turns all the time.
Yeah,
I think I can
compare
kill
that to Lord Maragara. So I'll say is right. Where it's like 8 mana giant, like completely swings the board, sets up lethal, you know?
Oh, sure. I didn't even get this into my mine list, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong to not put it there, but it seems awkward and conditional. After Cagehead, this is actually the last card. Got Climactic Necrotic Explosion, 10 mana legendary spell, which cannot be generated. One of 2 spells that can't. The rogue one also can't.
How did you know about that?
Twitter.
Twitter. Okay, I missed
Twitter.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. It's easy to miss because it's a new hidden rule in Hearthstone that sometimes you can't discover spells because the people who made the cards thought you just shouldn't discover that spell. And
Yeah.
they're trying to work on some tooltip in game that tells you this, but I really do not care for that idea. Anywho, it is a 10 mana legendary spell with lifesteal, deals 5 damage, summons 2 1/1 souls, randomly improved by corpses you spent, by which it means for every corpse you spend, one of those 4 numbers change. You either deal more damage, you summon more things, they have more attack, or they have more health. It does not buff attack and health the same way that Arcanite Ripper does.
So I
Rainbow
mean,
Payoff.
if you're playing, I mean, it's do you just get to choose? Is it like Sire, or do you get to like choose the target with the damage?
You get to choose the target with the damage. You can point it somewhere. It's like Ultimate Infestation.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's gaining corpses in your hand or in your deck as well.
By corpses you've spent, I believe, this game. So
Okay.
it should be in deck.
Yeah. So
So
I mean, a deck
neutral
that
corpse
wants to use
spenders.
corpses, like this feels like if I'm playing rainbow deck that has corpses reliably, this seems really good. Except it's 10 mana, which sucks. But like, I mean, it's like its own Sire, right? So
Yeah, so I think there are a couple things that are kind of holding this thing back. First, it has to only go in rainbow decks.
yeah.
And currently those are not in any way superior to non-rainbow decks. So on that front, it might just be unplayable.
But that's not
second-
the card itself. That's just the conditions. So that just yeah. But
Also, I mean, it's baked into the card. There's no getting around it. It needs a rainbow deck. If the rainbow
Yeah.
deck is not good, the card can't be played physically. The second thing is that you need corpse spenders in Rainbow
yeah,
DK.
that's true.
And that's where I was kind of struggling in this card. You have like Corpse Bride, which I don't know about
Well,
that.
you run the
Malignant
the Malignant Horror, and it's so easy, right? So you build your deck around Malignant Horror and buffs. You do buffs, you get a 4/7 Malignant Horror, you play it, then it just starts duplicating. Your opponent can never kill you, but you're having trouble winning the game. Then you pull off this finisher. Actually, seems
possibly.
really yeah.
I'm just curious how many corpses you need to spend, and can you make a rainbow deck that spends those corpses reliably to make this card good? I don't know how many corpses you have to spend to make this good. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I bet if I spend 20 sources and it's deal 15 lifesteal, because you can also use it as a not finisher where your opponent's doing some stuff, you put them down, you get out of range because you heal, and then you develop two 15/15s or two 10/10s. I like this card. I mean, this is if Rainbow Death Knight's on the map, it's because of this card. So I'm gonna go with 4. So
Goodness. All right, I will go the opposite route on that. I'm gonna go with 1.
Ooh.
Strictly because I don't think Rainbow DK is actually a deck. And that is a precondition of this card.
Okay. This is the challenge.
Right.
Okay.
So overall for DK, we got a bunch of support for Unholy and Blood, one Frost card that doesn't look very good.
Okay.
And that's some people are confused about this. The dev said each expansion they're going to support one rune of Frost DK, and some people were confused and they thought that they shouldn't be seeing other runes. But it's like predominantly they get one rune gets a bunch of cards, the other rune gets a couple cards, and then one rune gets like one card on the side.
And this one, it looked like. I mean, it seems like just Frost didn't get anything good, but both Blood and Unholy got a good amount of stuff. So.
Yep, and that's what these expansions should look like.
Okay, I gotcha.
All right, so next up, moving on to Demonhunter. Starting with Taste of Chaos, 1 mana Fell spell, deal 2 damage to a minion. Finale, discover a Fell spell. What do you think?
I mean, this card is more annoying in that you're gonna have to plan your hand in such a way that you have to play this last.
Yeah.
So it's like hard on the brain, even if it's theoretically good.
Yeah, so the Fell spells I believe we'll be able to discover. We got Metamorphosis, Deal with the Devil. Chaos Nova, is that rotating? I actually forget. I don't think it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, somebody
no, Chaos Nova, yeah,
yeah.
Chaos Nova's out. That's what I thought. Immolation Aura is what they put in instead.
Okay.
So we got Immolation Aura, Predation, Eye Beam, Unleash Fell, Chaos Strike, and this multi-strike because this can't find itself. It's kind of a nice little pool of spells, but again, I'm getting hung up on that word finale.
It's pretty easy. Somebody mentioned in my chat just now that it's easy to pull it off because of the hero power for Demon Hunter. But yeah,
it is easier to pull off because of the 1-mana hero power. Yes, it's just the finale. It stacks conditions on conditions. You need to point this at a minion. It has to be the last thing you play that turn, and it has to spend all of your mana.
Yeah,
and that makes this card feel like it's a slower card.
But it is 1 mana, so
it is 1 mana.
So, there aren't, Jace is rotating, right? So
Jace is rotating, correct?
So you can't use this as like some to add to your pool or anything. Not that this would be a good card, but like I don't know. I mean, this seems like efficient overall. So. I mean, I am giving it at least a 2. I just don't know if it's quite. It doesn't feel like a 3, so I probably think I just give it a 2. So
yeah, I can get behind a 2. I don't want to though.
I mean, this card is useful conditionally. It's hard for me to see 2 years with this card not seeing play. It's good enough, So the deck needs another spell. It's 1 mana. It's not like there's some awkward 4 mana card. It's 1 mana. So a deck that needs lots of low spells. I'm gonna go 2. So
I'm still pushing it down to a 1. The reason I'm just gonna say that is because there are so many conditions that have to be met on this, which is that your opponent needs the minion, you have to finale it, and I think that's gonna mean it spends a lot of time sitting dead in your hand in practice, which is probably going to make it get cut for cards that are more reliable. That's my gut. All right. So next up, we got Eye of Shadow. 2 mana, 2/3 demon. Your hero has lifesteal.
Let's see. I think this is it says that the nice thing about Eldrazi Warblades is that you can equip it and then save up the mana, where you have to do this on the same turn. But you could just equip a weapon and then play this and get a steal. And it's got some good synergies with the 5 mana card from later. So, I mean, I feel like this card could be really good, right? So.
I'm very much on the. I'm not a believer on this card yet.
Yeah, I see what you're. Yeah. It's really
the preloading Eldrazi. I think that's very valuable portion of the card, and you have to do this on the same turn. And we don't have tons of weapon buffs. We have Dispose of Evidence, Chaos Strike, and the new 5 mana spell plus whatever weapon you might equip.
Yeah, you're convincing me. Because why would I play this card when I can go Guild Trader 1 mana spell or some other spell damage? Because Guild Trader's going that 3 mana.
Yeah,
2/2.
Yeah, Silver Moon Arcanist.
Yeah, I mean that's turn 6, but this card needs a lot of mana to work too. So
this card, it feels even more conditional than Eldrazi.
You convinced me. I was thinking this is okay. Now I'm wanting to go to a 1. So
yeah, I'm very much on a 1
all
for
right,
this.
I'll give it a 1. Yeah, you convinced me.
Eldrazi's not even seeing play now with what we got.
Yeah, so
this is just going to be worse. All right. So after Eye of Shadow, we have Security. 2 mana, summon 2 1/1 Illidari with Rush. Outcast, summon 1 more.
I feel so there's the 3 mana card that saw a little play in the
Strike?
Coordinated Strike, which is a bad card that saw some play. So this card also seems like a bad card, but if Coordinated Strike could see play, this probably could see play too. So it's probably a 2, even though I think it's bad. So
I'm very much on that same line of thought with you. I'd also call this about a 2, maybe even a 3. Not because the card is any good, but just because it's an okay card that's cheap that says the word Outcast. And being an okay, cheap card that says Outcast is extremely important right now.
Okay. That's fair. I'm going to give it 2, so yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Plus, it also works, I believe, very well with our next card, which is Snakebite. 2 mana, 1/1 Naga with Rush. Battlecry, gain +1/+1 for each minion that died this turn. Friendly and opposing.
Okay. It's hard to pull off, but I mean, it's hard to pull off. So, but like, if a deck naturally works with it, like, you know,
I don't think it's
be really
that hard
good,
to
right?
pull off.
I guess you just play that 2 mana card, and you play this, and then you trade things off, and you get a 2 mana 5/5 with Rush.
Or you could do something, I don't know, maybe more along the lines of Unleash Fell somebody. Just explode their board with some spell damage.
Oh, and then
you can also just drop like a 4/4 5/5 Rush alongside that.
Okay.
I can definitely see the potential here. Immolation Aura kills a bunch of stuff. The Unleash Fell kills a bunch of stuff. The Rushers can kill a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Trading just kills stuff.
These
At
cards
the
are
same
hard to
time,
make work though. You think you just
Mm-hmm.
because mana is a thing, right? So it's
Mana's
like,
a thing.
You know, everybody thinks, oh, I'll just play this, and well, my 25 mana turn is going to be great. So I don't know. I'll give it a 2. I'm not ready to give it a 1, and I'm not ready to give it a 3 either. So 2 seems the cop out. So
I'm going to give it a 3, although I'm also a bit ambitious on that, I guess, because this card has Rush on it, and it having Rush is both a good thing and a bad thing. And I think it might see play because it has Rush, and it might see play as a 1-of copy because it has Rush. Which is, again, mostly because of our next card, which is Rush the Stage. 3 mana,
okay.
draw 2 Rush minions, they cost 1 less.
I mean, I was thinking that I saw this card, like this card would be insane in classes that have bad draw, but Demon Hunter has such good draw that it doesn't feel good enough.
Really?
But it also tutors, so I'm going to go with, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, it's Arcane Intellect. It's just so much better than Arcane Intellect and Shroud from Rogue and Mage and those C play. So it's probably good. I'll give it a 3. So
Yeah, I'm on a 4. Let me see if I can talk you up on this.
all right.
At a baseline, this goes in the Outcast Demon Hunter deck, because what you're drawing is the 1 mana 2/1 Rush that on Outcast reduces the cost of your next Outcast card by 1, and you're drawing the Vengeful Walloper, the 6 mana 5/5 Rush that costs 1 less for each Outcast thing you've played this game. So when you play Rush the Stage for 3 mana, you're drawing some combination of what are often going to effectively be 0 mana 5/5 or 2/1 Rushers. And they hold this cost reduction. This is not cost 1 less this turn.
Yeah.
So you can hold that 0 mana 2/1 Rusher
I think
in your hand.
the tutoring element could make it really good. So, and its efficiency, I can't deny, is like compared to every other class is good. So I guess I'm living in the, like, compare, you know, the most broken Demon Hunter card ever. Like, oh, 5 mana Skull is better than this card. But like, trying to think of what other 3 mana, like, you know, a Spectral Sight still saw play for a long time. So okay, all right, you Kyle. I'm gonna give it a 3. You convinced me it might be a 4. I'm just not ready. To give it a 4. It just doesn't.
So
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I was talking about Snakebite before is I think you play the 2/1s with Rush. You play the Vengeful Walloper, and this draws 2 Rush minions, so you probably want a 5th in the deck, and so you probably play another copy of Snakebite just so you draw with Rush the Stage consistently. But really, you want to get those 0 mana 5/5s out for the Outcast deck, and this just does that.
Okay.
Moving forward, we got Glaivatar. 4 mana 4/2 weapon, Death Rattle, draw 1 card. Play Outcast cards while equipped to improve this.
I mean, it seems very efficient. Very easy to do. So
It does. It really does.
I'm just gonna give it a 4. I don't have to talk about it that much. I think there's too many easy ways to make it work to even talk about ways to make it work. So
yeah, I'm right there with you on the 4. In fact, I think this card's probably good enough that DH will play a copy of Instrument Tech just to consistently find this thing.
Oh yeah, okay. It's rare. Oh, so you could just run instrument tech and this could be your card draw engine. So you could run this in an aggro deck, a low curve aggro deck with it's like so easy to build. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's really yeah.
It looks really, really spooky. Glaivatar's nuts. Instant 4 from me as well.
Okay.
Moving forward, we got Halvaria Darkraven, 4 mana 4/3 legendary with Rush. After a friendly Rush minion attacks, give all your minions +1 attack.
Friendly Rush minion attacks, give all your so
like a weird bloodlusty Rokara, small Rokara.
Yeah. I mean, this is insane in a world where you have a bunch of Rush minions on the board already because you play it and then you just go face. But so hard to do.
Yeah, that Swarm Demon Hunter deck has just never really panned out. That one where you play a bunch of cheap stuff and then off them or trade them in with that, what is it, Rascal Naga or something? The 3 mana 3/3 that every time one of your minions dies, it shoots something for 3. That style of Demon Hunter just has never worked. And maybe there's a deck here. I haven't tried to build this particular deck. It just doesn't excite me.
What's also weird is like with this card is I feel this card you want to Bloodlust kind cards are good against control decks that just sort of greedily let a bunch of like low attack minions on board. But the problem is I can't actually rush this card into something because the control deck doesn't, might not even play a minion. They might play a taunt, but then if I rush this in, then my other minions can't get the effect, right? Because it dies. So I'm going 1. I think it's garbage. So
I'm also gonna have to say 1 on this. It might actually be an okay card. Like the small Rokara was. That was an okay card, and maybe this is too, but there are, again, so many conditions. You need Rush minions to make this thing proc. If the Rush minions trade into something, they usually die, and that could stop this from working. And they need that thing to trade into in the first place, need the established board to go fake. I don't like stacking all that on top of itself.
Yeah, I mean, Hearthstone 2023 is like everything's getting removed or value traded, or it's like, so it's just so hard to like have this great big board to get a big payoff on. Against any deck that it would be worth it, so.
Yep, I do not love this thing. Alright, next up we got Instrument Smasher. 4 mana 3/6. Whenever your weapon is destroyed, equip a random Demon Hunter weapon.
There's like a warrior card like this that sucked, right? Like, I feel like this is bad. So.
It does not excite me.
Unless like I haven't looked at the pool and all Demon Hunter deck weapons are absurd.
Well, I can actually tell you about that. The weapons for Demon Hunter are actually kind of good. So, staying around, we got Calamity's Grasp, which is the 1/2, gives you an outcast thing when it dies. That's not so great. We got Dread Prison Glaive, the 1 mana 1/3, which is actually not that great to roll off here.
2 bad ones so far.
Aldraki Warblades should be sticking around. So we got Aldraki Warblades there. That's not actually so great. We got Magnifying Glaive, the 3 mana 3/2 that draws until you have 3 cards in your hand, which is not really reliable with this.
Terrible with this, yeah.
Glaivatar, which is alright, that's fine. It's 8 damage in card, it's fine. You got Soul Eater Scythe, which is just 8 damage, that's not so great. Got Bone Glaive, which is 5 attack, 2 charge dredge. That's not bad. And we got Flame Reaper, which has been buffed up to 5 attack that cleaves. The 5/3 that cleaves. So actually, now that I've read this out again, you'll get probably about a 4 attack weapon on average if you break this.
I'm going to give this a 1, so.
I'm going to give this a 1 as well. It's a lot of talk for, you have to have a weapon in your deck and you want to draw the weapon but not have too many weapons because then they start tripping on each other as Instrument Smasher gives you more. And you want to play this on the turn you break it and blah, 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 blah. It's just too many conditions.
Yeah.
After that, we got Going Down Swinging. Legendary spell, 5 mana. Give your hero +2 attack and immune this turn, and then attack each enemy minion. Doesn't even go face.
Yeah, at first I thought this was good, and then I just compare it to like so many other things. I compare this to Blood Boil. Blood Boil's like multiple turns. If you compare this to like Mana Steel, mana plus the 6 mana card, because you need like the more I think like is this card this card might just be massive bait.
It really feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So if you have a weapon equipped, your first charge is going to just,
Oh yeah, you lose your
very
weapon
fast.
charges, right? Yeah.
Yep. And if you try to buff up your hero, you have like the 2 mana 2/3 that gives it lifesteal. Great. That's a turn 7 combo. You've got Dispose of Evidence, which would work well early, I suppose, but Dispose of Evidence and this in the same deck seems weird. And you got Chaos Strike, which is again, 2 mana. It's expensive. And this doesn't even go face, so at some point it feels like we're talking about this is a 5 mana Consecration or something. Because you can attack face after you play it, and you have to attack.
Yeah.
So is this just like a 5 mana Consecration?
I mean, the obvious reason why people think it's cool is you play it with the 2/3 for your lifesteal, and you get a bunch of heal. But that's like 2 cards, and this is a legendary, so you don't even like have like if you're building around that combo, like you only can do this once. So it's like what am I? I don't know.
It's a weird board state that really wants this to be good.
Yeah.
I'm going fat 1 on this.
I'm gonna go 1 as well. We're gonna be. I get the impression the community thinks this is good, but we're extra contrarian here. So
maybe they really like Fallout Boy.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Guitar's Soloist. 5 mana, 4/3 Battlecry. If you control no other minions, draw a spell, a minion, and a weapon.
This is a tough one because like the raw efficiency. This is another like the raw efficiency of this card is good, but like Death Knight historically has such good card draw, or not Death Knight, Demon Hunter.
Demon Hunter.
That it's
I do
like,
the same thing.
When do I want to play this card? Am I playing this in like this card's good in a tempo deck when I can have some minions on the board and drop it down because I can have minions. But am I running this in an all spell deck? Like it just doesn't work in the deck it wants to work in,
Yep, there's a really easy, I think, comparison here to show how fucking awkward this card is, which is Barak Kodobane. 5 mana 3/5 for Hunter that drew a 1, 2, and 3 cost spell just on Battlecry all the time.
But that's because Hunter is such terrible card draw, so it needs that,
Like it was played, it was fine, and this has fewer overall stats, and it's more conditional. On every front, you need to draw more specific things, and you have to have no minions. I mean, this just seems bad, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's in a class that has already obsade card draw, so it's not as valuable to have card draw. So you could, I think I'm just gonna go 1. So
yeah, I think a lot of the soloists are not very good. Spoiler.
Yeah,
I don't think this is any exception.
Yeah, I think people remember like what's the lone champion. I think people overvalued that card when it first came out, and they brought it back, and it's still bad. So
still bad.
2 years of power creep didn't make it good. So
The Outcast Demon Hunter deck looks real good.
So
anything else in the class? Like we still have relics, but none of this stuff really feels like it speaks a ton to relics.
Yeah, I mean, you just run some sort of. You could like run some sort of Tempo deck, tutor out Glaivatar. Run some outcasts. Like you don't even need crazy outcast synergy.
Well, that deck looks like Whirl Kick Rogue. People are gonna love playing that thing.
Yeah. So I think it's that whole concept. If you don't have, if it can get under the Miracle Rogue, and kill it before they do their pop offs, it's probably good. So. Yeah.
Right. Well, we can actually talk about that later, which is another interesting topic. But for now, we can move on to Druid. Starting with Free Spirit, 1 mana 1/2 Undead Beast. Battlecry and Death Rattle, your hero power gains 1 more armor this game.
Absurd, right?
One of these, you play this, one of them dies, you're gaining 3 armor.
Yeah. That's really good, right? Like, so it's
very close to
power.
a 10 cup. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4, so...
Yeah, I like the 4 too. I have this whole new hero power druid deck that actually looks really interesting. No idea if it's good, but I'll explain the concept as we see the next 3 cards.
Okay, yeah.
So
I don't know if there's ways you can get more of these or spread the death rattle, or
yes,
there's anything.
I will explain. Let's just get through the 3 cards. Next one up, we got Peaceful Piper, 1 mana. Choose 1, draw a beast, or discover a beast. And your hero power minions are beasts.
Oh, nice.
This tutors those. Yes.
Okay. seems like. I mean, this seems good enough. I don't think it's like OP, but like I give it a 2.
Yeah, I'll go 3. I really
Okay.
like the tutor effect for the hero power stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's simple, good. And then, of course, the next card here, we got Groovy Cat. 2 mana, 2/1 beast, also tutorable. Battle Cry and Death Rattle, your hero power gives you 1 more attack this game.
Yeah, I think another 4. Like, so really good.
I'm with you on the 4. Alright, so I'm going to explain the deck real fast, forgetting any other synergy cards for now. The general idea is you play the 1-drop and this 2-drop, as well as your tutor minion to find them. And then the way you repeat these, there are 2 ways. The first is the location. Location that triggers a death rattle, which doesn't seem too impressive up front, but it does let you get more copies of your wildfire, which is nice. And then when enough of this stuff starts dying, you have Unending Swarm. Reses all friendly minions 2 or less that died. You can bring back your Groovy Cats and your Free Spirits, buff up your attack and armor again. And if you're playing the location and you're playing that Unending Swarm, what you also do is you slot in a copy of Explosive Sheep. So then you have this, with a location, you have a Chaos Nova that you can res and then trigger again on the same turn while you're still buffing up your hero powers. And then all the other synergy cards, you keep it really low curve and you
Yeah,
draw
the
with
location synergy, the synergy is real good. Yeah, and like like you said, the explosive sheep becomes useful when you're running that. So that's interesting. Yeah, and you could.
Yeah. It's super low curve. Then your card draw engine is basically the due process that you solar eclipse. So you start drawing 2-3 cards a turn. It reminds me of a Poison Rogue. It really does.
Okay.
But the package gets even better because we got synergy cards to go with it too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Next up, Harmonic Mood along those similar lines. 2 mana, give your hero +2 attack this turn, gain 4 armor, and then swaps to get 4 attack, gain 2 armor, and then swaps back.
Is this good? I feel like Wrath is a better card, and Wrath barely sees play. I don't know. I mean,
I think this is a better card than Wrath just because it goes face. Works with Rake, which is nice.
Yeah,
the hero power stuff in Rake becomes very powerful.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And then there's also the draw spell that we'll see in a second, too. And I wouldn't overlook... Again, we have Lunar and Solar Eclipse coming back. And I wouldn't overlook the potential where you just, for 4 mana, do something like Solar Eclipse, Dissonant Moon, gain 8 attack and 4 armor.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And just smash somebody. Damage plus damage is real good.
Okay, I'll give it a... I'm not ready to give it a 3. I'll give it 2, though, so...
I'll give it the 3. Because it also goes well with... Alright, not the next card, but the one after. Anyway, we'll just start with this. Rhythm and Roots. 4 mana legendary spell for Druid. Choose 1. Secretly. Summon 3 5/5 Ancients in 2 turns, or 3 8/8 Giants in 4 turns. Nature spell.
Like, this card looks good until I feel like it's actually terrible. Like, it's just so hard to... Like, how am I spending 4 mana to get all these? Like, what Druid deck can afford to do this? You know, like, Druid's getting pressured on 4. It needs to be either ramping or something, because it's like, it doesn't have... Like, I can't play this and then go Brawl the next turn, because I'm Druid, right? So,
yes.
If you had Brawl, like, if you were... This would be really good in, like, Warrior, because you could be a control class, but I feel like Druid just doesn't, you know... They get like 8/8s in 4 turns is I ramp, so I spend my mana ramping, and then I have more efficiency because of that, so I can get to this. So I don't know.
Yeah, this is a really weird card.
Yeah.
On its own, my initial point of comparison was Wildpaw Caverns, and this looks like a really scuffed Wildpaw Caverns. Yeah. Shaman spell that summons you the 3/4s that freeze every turn.
But that's every turn. So
yeah. And I was really low on this card. I'm a bit higher on it now. And that's because someone explained the setup to me, and I don't know if the setup is good, but the setup is you play this on 4, and then by the time this procs and summons your 3 5/5s in 2 turns, you should hopefully have the mana to Drum Circle on that same turn and give everything +2/+4 in taunt.
Oh, I see.
I think that's supposed to be the setup.
Yeah.
And you can also, if you got the mana in some capacity, you can, again, Solar Eclipse that and give everything 4/8, and then all of a sudden you have this whole fucking board of big taunts.
Yeah,
it is just
if this becomes meta and then people just text Starfish and then or if I'm a control class, I go Shadow. I don't know. It's like
my big issue with this is what happens when it's not turn 4. What happens when you
Yeah.
draw this on turn 5, 6, 7? Holy hell, it's slow.
Yeah, I mean, often also here's the thing with like Druid in the late game actually has, if it gets to the late game, often has board space issues because it's so much. At least with the Guff 20 mana world where for example if you had like a what's the 7 mana dragon, that your nature spells Topiary so if you're doing Topiary stuff, so if you're doing like Topior and you're doing like a lot of times you just don't even have board space. So like pulling off this kind of card, I mean, I see the raw efficiency of it, like of playing this on 4 and but if I'm an aggro deck, I'm killing you on that turn. Like you need to be going like Nourish historically into Scale, which Scale is rotating, right? So
you got Flipper friends now, not quite the same thing.
Yeah. So and don't have combo. I emotionally feel this card is trash and will never make it. So I'm gonna be kind of like just go full 1. All right, I'm ready to be wrong, and it's broken.
I see the setup. I'll give it a 2. I have been having a real hard time trying to build Ramp Druid. It's not been easy for me. Druid is looking really weird.
I don't feel even Ramp Druid runs this card. Like Ramp Druid wants to ramp on this turn.
It does.
It doesn't want to play this, and these don't have rush, so it's so a lot of like dormant minions, so that were successful. Imprisoned Vilefiend, which was a bad one that saw play, that had the 3/5, so it would rush in. The 3/5 for the 4/5 for Mage. That did 2 damage to all was really good, but that had that immediate impact. So they were overstated and they had immediate board impact when they got out of dormant. So or the 10/6 for Demonhunter. Like this just seems so much worse than all those cards, and we're also
really does.
2 years of power creep too. Like it's just hard for me to imagine this card in Druid especially. Like it just doesn't. Druid can just play 2/8/8 giants in 4 turns. They don't need to.
It's real rough too because Druid lost Earth and Scale, and Earth and Scale in this card might have actually really kind of worked together. But
yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 2. I see the setup, but I'm not a huge believer in it yet. It just outside of turn 4 seems so slow.
Yeah.
So next up, this is the card I was actually talking about. Spread the word. 4 mana, draw 2 cards, costs 1 less for each attack your hero has.
I think it's 4. It's real good.
Yeah. This card does not cost mana, like, ever.
Yeah. And, like, these kind of cards are always, like, cutting class, broken. Yep. This is cutting class, but super easy to pull off. Like, you don't even need, like, if you're just running the 1/2s and not even running any of these damage things, you still run this, So it's very easy.
You got Harmonic Mood. That's 4 attack instantly. Weapons, Rake, anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, this card just doesn't cost mana. Really good. Also a 4.
Okay.
After that, we got Timber Tambourine. 4 mana, Death Rattle, summon 1 5/5 Ancient, play cards that cost 5 or more while equipped to improve. So then summon 2 Ancients, then 3 Ancients, and so on. I
mean, this is slow, but it seems like this card seems so much better than Rhythm and Roots, where I get some immediate impact. I get to I play some big cards, and then and I also can time it more. Like I can hold the tension better. So let's say I'm running Spammy or some sort of neutral board clear. I can
Spammy rotates, but
Spammy. So I don't know if Druid has no neutral board clears, but if it gets some sort of neutral okay board swing, and it can use it to clear the board and then play these. So being able to hold the tension for a card, or let's say it's on the offensive and your opponent, you have a big board and you're up against a control deck, you wait for them to clear your board and then you hit face and you get a whole new board, and they're and maybe you even do Soul the Forest on it, so this card
it just seems easier to use in a lot of respects than the legendary spell. A little more setup but easier to use because you can also hold it for Drum Circle as well.
I'll give it a 3.
And you can tutor this with Instrument Tech, which you also might because you really want to play this on 4.
Yeah.
I'm on a 3 as well. I think this card is good. After Timber Tambourine, we got Summer Flower Child. 5 mana 4/5 Battlecry. Draw 2 cards that cost 6 or more. Finale, they cost 1 less.
I feel like this card sucks. Just my instinct. Like, I don't know. I mean, I can see, I guess, compared to Nourish Draw, it's better, but people run Nourish not for the draw. So it's like...
Yeah, Nourish stocks really go down when you lose Guff.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know if we play Nourish anymore. It's kind of weird. So the big thing you're supposed to do with Summer Flower Child, I believe, is Green Thumb Gardener. The 6 mana 5/5 Naga that refreshes mana crystals equal to the highest cost spell in your hand. So you play Summer Flower Child on 5.
Yeah, that card never actually works, I feel like. I don't know.
No. So the setup I'm seeing is you play Weapon on 4, which hopefully you just have, or Tutor with Instrument Tech, whatever. On 5, you play Summer Flower Child. And on 6, you're going to swing your weapon and break it. So you can do like Green Thumb Gardener, which costs 6 and refreshes your mana, which buffs up your weapon. And then you break the weapon and you summon 5/5s. And then if you played this on 5 and finale'd it, then you can Drum Circle the entire board of the Green Thumb Gardener, 3 5/5s.
2 terrible tempo plays for 2 turns as the class that's most vulnerable to tempo. Seems not good enough. So...
I don't know if there's a better way that I've seen. That might be one of the best things Druid can actually do if you're going slower, by the way. I'm going to give Summer Flower Child a 3. I think it's a good card, but I don't know if Druid is good.
Like, well, would I run this in Druid currently? No. Like, that's what I'm thinking. You know, like...
No, probably not.
So, why am I going to run this in Druid So, unless, like... The only, like, the tutoring element is the only thing of, like, okay, if I don't run that many big cards and I use it as, like, a Cold Tooth Mine. That's what I'm talking up to a 2 from that. Otherwise, it would just be a 1. So you can, you can play this, always hit a noob or something like that, and then play it for 7.
Keepers,
so
get the 4/6 taunts for free. There's some decent stuff that this can tutor. Miracle Growth, the Colossal. If you finale this, the Colossal curves from it, if that's any good.
The Colossal. Yeah,
the Colossal.
Yeah, the Colossal. That's that's just been dominating the meta as since it's been printed. All right, I'm just gonna be more fun and go 1, even though it's probably a 2. So
yeah. All right, I'll take a 3. We'll split the difference.
Okay.
On average, we'll be right.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Drum Circle. 7 mana nature spell. Choose 1. Summon 5 2/2 treants, or give your minions +2, +4, and taunt.
So, I mean, I see they're going for you do one big board thing and give it taunt, and then I lose to any deck with a board clear. So,
something like that, yeah.
Like, I'd rather go Soul the Forest. The 3 mana Soul the Forest, and of course, it looks really good, by the way. But, like, I don't know. It's hard.
Are you ever playing Drum Circle to summon treants and not just feeling terrible?
Well, no, you do it to summon treants because so you're like, I have to do something. So, but it's like 7 mana is so like, remember Glowfly Swarm, like why?
Oh, yeah.
And I'd rather just Arbor up and win than like why this taunt. I mean, I don't know. Like the taunt means I have to make such a giant board against a class that has no way to deal with my taunt minions and win the game next turn. Like that's what that means.
That is exactly what that means. And you can do it with the weapon, with the dormant spell, with the tutoring from the Summer Flower Child. It's a thing you can try to do. And it might be Slower Druid's best thing to do.
This might see play in Quest Druid and Wild because you get to choose both, right? So you just make a giant 7 mana, a board of 4 6s with taunt is actually insane, right? So
I'm kind of caught between a 2 and a 3 here. I think the card is probably actually going to go in Druid decks if they're played. And it's actually going to be an important card in the Druid decks if they're played.
I'm gonna go with 1 again. It's just more fun to say once, so 1.
Yep,
garbage.
1 on average will be right.
Yeah.
And last card for Druid, I believe, is Zoc Fogsnout. 7 mana, 6/6 Quillbore, Battlecry. Summon 2 1/1 Quillbores with Taunt. Improved by your hero, attack and armor gained this turn. Attack meaning buff the attack of the minions. Armor gain, meaning buff the health of the minions.
Ooh. That
Supposed to be
seems
the payoff for
great,
the hero
right?
power.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about. I'm just doing a bunch of hero powers. I'm playing against like Unholy Death Knight. They're set up for the lethal. I smack this guy down, 30,000 health of stats. Like, seems really good.
So someone in my chat just mentioned that the general combo, some people can mention like a Nubricon, and then you play some Underkings.
Oh, the armor gained this turn, not from hero power, so you could just do like the 2-mana spell. Oh my god.
You play a Nubricon and you gain like 2 Underkings, you gain 6 armor on each of those, then you play this and you get 2 124 taunts.
Yeah, 4. Alright, I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean that could also be the late game of this deck. I'm gonna go with a 2. I'll split the difference.
Why am I 2? Why am I playing the cards like Summerflower Child and Rhythm and Roots when I could just hit the face a few times and gain some armor and then make an infinite board that?
Well, you still play Summerflower Child. Because Summerflower Child draws Zoc and a Nubricon and Underkings.
Oh, okay.
It finds you
tutoring, yeah. So,
but then there are questions of how do you kill people after you have your 124 taunts.
Well, I also maybe I hit in the face with some hero power, so you know.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. You could just be like hero powering and using Rake throughout the game. You're using Rake, you're using your hero power that you got upgraded, so you just run the low stuff. And then you get to this card, and this is you tutor this out with the 1-star card that I maybe incorrectly rated now. You draw with Summerflower Child, you tutor this guy out, and you win the game with this, you know?
All right, so I want to be very sure that we're clear on this. This is gained attack and armor this turn.
Oh.
This is not throughout the game.
Oh, I misread. This is okay. My bad.
Yeah. You want to change that 4?
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's you okay. I thought it was gaining the whole game. All right, you see why I thought it was a 4. I thought you were crazy. Yeah, it was okay. All right. It's still okay though. All right, I'll do it. I'll do a 3. I liked it too much to give it a 2 now. So
it's hard to get the initial excitement.
Yeah. Okay. Gaining attack is difficult. Okay. So yeah.
I'm loving the hero power druid though. Thing looks awesome.
Okay.
Looks like Poison Road.